Even John Mulloy is difficult. It's the John Mulloy that people don't see, I think, that is the most interesting one. The guy who's the family man, the friend, the golfer. They're actually not bad golfer, although he does putt quite a lot, as he will no doubt tell anyone. Over his 65 years, he's had 3,222,000 two putts and double that, 3 putts. I am lucky. I class John more as a friend than a business acquaintance. It's a long time since we've done any business with Hillcrest, but for many years he's been a good friend, a supportive friend. That to me makes him unique. The funny stories, there are many. I had a week in Spain with John. I've been there a few times, but I had the pleasure of sharing a room with him. I got no sleep that week because John snores a little bit, in fact continually. And even when we moved to a villa for 3 weeks, not 3 weeks, it felt like 3 weeks, for a few nights, I thought I'll sleep on the settee, I'll get some sleep. No, I could hear him snoring through the door on the wall. That aside, a tremendous gentleman on the golf course, a tremendous gentleman in business, very innovative. He is without doubt one of the most driven housing professionals, certainly in Scotland, and Hillcrest are where they are, I have no doubt, because of John and the way that he encourages and motivates his excellent team. Fairfield worked with Hillcrest days when Manus McGinty was there, when he didn't have any grey hair and his beard was trendy. That would be back in the late 80s, early 90s. We didn't see much of John here, he'd be far too busy doing world domination. But their solid experience and solid ability to develop homes at the right price significantly helped Fairfield lay the foundations that we have today, and we are very thankful for that. And John has been nothing but encouraging to Fairfield Housing from then onwards, and has never ever tried to take us over, because he says that people go to him how more to stay. My last words perhaps are not funny, but they're very relevant. A story that was regaled to me about from Graham Ogilvy, who many of you will know, but his friend Sandy, on being told that John was retiring, said in a sentence, "That's been a useful life." And I think he'll continue to have a very useful life. All the best, John. See you soon.
The main initiative that we worked on together was the Larrick initiative, where 6 housing associations got together to procure a programme of over 800 homes. And as part of that, the chief executives used to meet for lunch. That was when networking didn't involve LinkedIn, it involved eating and drinking. And part of what we were going to do was solve the problems of the housing world. What it turned into was a bit of a self-help group, for a pre-retirement self-group for chief executives. And I was the youngest, so young Alister had the job of making sure everybody got home safely from that. Not only have I been able to observe the development of Hillcrest over the years, I've been able to observe John's relationship with his long-time sparring partner, John Kernahan. They've been described as the Victor and Jack of Scottish housing. The thing that they could ever agree on was that they both looked through the world from the view of their green and white hoop spectacles. And I've spent many a boring hour in the pub reliving the glory days of Celtic Football Club. And I can just imagine John in his retirement going through the old age pensioners gate at Parkhead and sitting there reliving the glory days not only of Celtic but of Hillcrest as well.
To realise when I first met John Mulloy, not long after he'd started, had been appointed as the secretary he was in those days of Hillcrest Housing Association, that would be the start of a relationship which has lasted for 30 years. A number of facets to John. There's John the businessman, thorough, committed, tenacious when necessary, but at all times courteous. There's John out with the business environment, friendly, sociable, humorous and good company. And then there's John the person, a thoroughly decent man, and one whom it's been a pleasure to have known over the last 30 years. As John bats out his last over, I speak on behalf of not only myself but all those in Thorntons who know John and who've worked with John, in wishing him health and happiness in what is a very well deserved retirement.
I've had the enormous pleasure of working with John Mulloy over the last 5 years and his team at Hillcrest. John is one of his industry's genuine innovators and leaders. He has taken more brave initiatives and imaginative steps to seek to deliver housing through the longest and deepest recession that this country has known for well over 100 years. Quarter Mile is a groundbreaking affordable housing project delivering outstanding quality in the middle of the capital city and extremely high land values and very good architecture. It is going to be a project that Hillcrest will look back on in the future, and we'll thank John for having the courage and the perseverance to see through and deliver. On a personal basis, it's been an enormous pleasure to work with John, to have somebody who was prepared to take on ideas, test them, solve problems, to deliver the end result. The fundamental point that we all need to remember is that we're trying to deliver affordable housing for the people of Scotland. John has never forgotten that and has always sought to overcome the inevitable hurdles that all new ideas face. And that is to his enormous credit from our perspective. It's been an enormous pleasure, John. We will be sad to lose you from the industry. And thank you very much for all of your support in everything that we've done together.
Well, John, where have 30 years gone? It seems like it's gone by in a flash, doesn't it? I haven't known and worked with you for the entire 30 years, but it seems very close to it. I think it must be about 27 or 28 years. I recall when you joined Hillcrest that it was a relatively small organisation. I think you were about the 14th member of staff to be appointed, and at that time you had about 700 units in management. That's grown under your leadership now to the point where it has around 6,000 units, 950 staff, and all various support services throughout the group. That in itself is tribute to your leadership throughout that period of time, and also to the calm way you have dealt with adversity over the years and the various problems that have arisen, and also to your organisational skills, which have been undoubtedly brought to bear in the organisation. Over the years, I've got to know you not only in a business context, but also through our mutual love of golf. And it was after playing golf with you for some time that I realised that the calm persona that we can sometimes see, or always see in your working environment, doesn't necessarily cross across to your personal life. I recall one day, I think it was the ninth hole on the hallowed turf that is the old course of St Andrews, when you were taking a short 3-foot putt and missed it and left it about 4 or 5 inches short of the hole. Normally we would have expected you to calmly step forward and tap that into the hole, but a transformation suddenly came over you which we had never seen before. We could see the veins bulging in your neck, and instead of that step forward and the smart tap, it was like a windmill stroke, like a polo stroke. You hit the ball about from 4 inches away, about 40 yards, into a nearby bush, and never saw the ball again. Just a couple of years ago, we were supposed to be having a meeting late one afternoon after you'd been at a business trip to Edinburgh. I got a call from you shortly before we were due to meet, when you said that you had some problems with the trains. After some probing, it became apparent that you were actually phoning me from the station in Newcastle, and that not only had you got on the wrong train in Edinburgh, but you had missed the first stop in Berwick to come back because you'd fallen asleep on the way. However, I believe that when you were younger that you once got on the wrong ferry on your way to Europe and ended up in the wrong country and took yourself a day or two out of your way rather than a couple of hours, so it's not necessarily just an ageing thing. I'm sure that your undoubted organisational skills and your calmness in adversity, now that you don't need them in a workplace, will be transferred across to your personal life, and that they will help you to have a long, happy retirement. And here's all the best, John.
Well, John, coming from Haddington, my step cousin, and me from Trinent, immediately stuck up a rapport. We also found out that we had some things in common. Football, for example. Although John's much older than me and looks it, and played for a very small team called Musselburgh Windsor from memory, and I played for a superior bunch in Preston Pans and Port Seton. But we never actually run across each other on the football field, much to John's regret, because he would have been hacking me. We also found out we enjoy golf, and we've had many a Trinent man versus Haddington man escapade up in the rustic parts of St Andrews, where he now plays. Seriously, John, you've been a good friend, an inspiration on many an occasion, an occasional poor pair of consultancy services, and I've enjoyed your company. I wish you all the best for the future and your new beginnings. Hold on to your memories, and remember and hold on to your old friends as well. Take care, John. All the best.
One of the things about being a journalist is you sometimes are quite privileged in that we do get good opportunities to meet interesting people, so you go different places interesting. I always remember one of my most memorable moments anyway, or times, was a morning I spent with John, who took me around the centre of Dundee, and we visited all the old developments, or the very early developments I should say, that Hillcrest undertook, and it was very clear that he had a great sense of pride in all of these, and it was also clear just that the mammoth undertaking that Hillcrest had been over the years. I think John is one of a dying breed, because I think he came out of the late 60s and the student radicalism and of the 70s, when a whole lot of people came out of that and went into the housing movement, and I don't know if the young graduates of today will have the same sense of mission that these guys did. I think John's one of his generation, and I think John is success. I wish you all the very best, and I'm sure your golf will be improving, but and maybe the worldwide travels will be getting a bit more extensive. All the best, John.
I just wanted to say that it's great to have this opportunity to join you on a special day when you're celebrating all your time with Hillcrest Housing, and to say that it's been a great honour to have known you over the years. What people don't know is that we have a shared experience going back to the early 1970s when we were picking tobacco in Canada, and there was an old song, wasn't there, about Tilsonburg and the back-breaking work, and I'm sure you might sing it for folks later on. You've shared many ideas and experiences with us over the years, and we really, really appreciate that. It's been very helpful to the work of Oakley, and on behalf of our board and my colleagues, we want to thank you for all those ideas, and we certainly took some major decisions on the back of your advice. It's also been a chance to meet you over the years on the non-speed housing visits, and I'm always impressed with your knowledge of local history, political philosophy, every aspect of housing, and it's all shared with that good humour and good nature of yours. And of course we know among everybody in the non-speed group that you're really the best golfer among us. John, you were kind enough to host a visit for our board members, myself, over to Dundee, and we look forward that one day we can return that hospitality to you again. But for now, I just want to wish you a long and happy retirement. Your legacy is a great one. You have made a genuine difference to a lot of people's lives and given them real hope. And what more can we ask for? And good luck for the future.
First met John over 40 years ago in Edinburgh when we were both at university, and I don't think any of us, or either of us, would have thought that he'd spend 30 years of his life working in Dundee. Some of the highlights of that period in Dundee must include being able to go and see Dundee United beat Barcelona in the mid-80s, and it allowed John to become a member of St Andrews Golf Club, something I know he enjoys very much. I know that when he started back in 1984, was it, or 83, there's about 20 people working in Hillcrest Housing Association. Now in the Hillcrest Group, as it's known, it's over 900, nearly 1,000 people as far as I know. So that's a really big growth, a big achievement. They provided houses for many thousands of people in the Dundee area and for a number of years now beyond. They've been at the forefront of innovation in housing, and I think a lot of that is down to John's drive and initiative and his ability just to motivate other people. I'm looking forward in future now, when he does finally pack in after his 30 years as Director of Hillcrest and Chief Executive of Hillcrest, to getting to spend a bit of time playing golf with him. So I'm looking forward to him having a good retirement, and at some point in the not too distant future, me doing the same. Have a good evening.
Celebrating the departure of your Chief Executive is not something you do every day, particularly when he has the temerity to hang around for 30 plus years. Celebrating, of course you are. Time to bring in a whole new set of skills and competencies to take all John's wonderful achievements to the next level. Set yourself big audacious goals. I'm sure John did when he joined you from the Housing Corporation. John, enjoy your retirement. You deserve a huge pat on the back.
Hi Tom. It's an honour to take the time out to send you this message. And how do I start talking about John? God, there's been so many things that we could start with. I mean, my first experience of John is the Noonspeak group, and John was kind enough to invite me on to that group, probably on the back of an exchange that him and I had in the Parliament with some other chief officers, with the then Housing Minister, Alec Neil. And on the back of that, John was very kind enough to suggest there might be some young blood coming into the group, and ever since then John has been the wise old owl, for want of a better expression, for me in lots of things to do with business and probably in life as well. John really kind of came into his own though, I suppose, in my very first trip with him on Noonspeak to Dublin and to Belfast, because then I saw Soldier Mulloy, and I'll let others explain what that's all about. But an insight into John's really encyclopedic knowledge of Celtic history, and it really is encyclopedic, and opened my eyes to lots of things and books that I should read and all of that. Quite a special experience actually for someone so young. Sport is probably another area that I would need to talk about John in relation to. John is by far the only golfer I know who could hit a drive under a snake's belly. He is by far the lowest hit of a golf ball I've ever seen in my entire life, but it works. In business though, I suppose that's really where John comes into his own, and his journey over 30 years at Hillcrest, I don't think will ever be emulated by anyone. Quite a fascinating journey that maybe some MPhil student in years to come will actually write about, and I would certainly be the first person to want to read it. An amazing organisation he's created over that period of time with a tremendous culture, and I've met a number of these people which reflect the type of business that John has led and created in those 3 decades. Quite remarkable. From my personal learning of John in the business field, it would have to be in those areas that are important, that are about leadership and about strategy, and absolutely John is a wise old owl in those areas. In his retiral, he'll not only be a loss to Hillcrest Group, I'm sure, but he will be a loss to our industry. And nevertheless, though, he deserves the rest, and I hope it's a good one. And with that in mind, John, I hope to see you back on the fairways with me soon. God bless, take care, hail, hail.
Well, John, congratulations on your retirement. You've done well for our company, as you have done for all the Dundee companies. Your professionalism is without a doubt your finest quality. I think initially when we did the apprenticeship scheme, we were the first contractor to actually be involved in it, to see the benefits of it, both for George Martin Builders and for Hillcrest and the wider environment. I think your training facility and your training staff works out very well, and I think that the people who we've trained at least have all been able to continue employment
The way I look upon it and the way you obviously look upon it as well, John, is that if you train somebody for 4 years, they'll then have a career for a lifetime. Well, John, to summarise yourself, I would say you were very professional, extremely straightforward. You tell it exactly like it is, and in our industry, that's exactly how we like it.
We have been involved in collaborations and competitions over the years. In terms of competition, he is currently 2-0 up on me. When it came to beauty parades for Hillcrest and Link to merge with, first of all, Old Town Housing Association and then Perthshire Housing Association, I'm afraid John won both of those competitions. In collaborative terms, we have achieved quite a lot, I think. The one I remember most is the Larach Alliance, and at that time it was 6 of the most innovative housing associations in Scotland that were coming together, and we succeeded in delivering a programme of more than 800 new houses. Now that was a remarkable achievement because you had 6 of the biggest egos in Scotland, including, and I'll name just 3 of them, that's Mr Mulloy himself, Alister, Steele and John Kernahan, and for them to get together and agree a joint design guide and a relatively small number of standard house types was quite an achievement. So I think we need to take credit for that. I know nothing about one of John's other passions, and that is golf. I neither play golf nor show any interest in it, but I do respect and acknowledge one of his other passions, and that is good music, particularly the blues. And I have to thank him. One night he walked across the Tay Road Bridge and back again to come and see my blues band playing at the Dundee Blues Festival. He risked life and limb to do that. I know the weather wasn't particularly good, and at the same time he doubled the crowd in the bar that night, so thank you, John, for that. In recent years there's been a few folks sort of talking about icons in the housing business, and particularly the housing association business, over the last 35 years, and a couple of names keep coming to mind. Obviously in the West people suggest Glasgow folk because that's the way they are. These people have moved on now to become either train spotters or building model railways or becoming directors of Queen's Park Football Club. But I would suggest that here in the east of Scotland we've got another icon who should be in the same Hall of Fame, and that is you, John. Okay, so thank you for all the encouragement and all the groundbreaking work you've done, not just on behalf of Hillcrest, but on behalf of the whole housing association and social enterprise movements in Scotland. And I wish you a long, happy and healthy retirement.
John is one of a generation of giants who thought that houses with no bathrooms or bathrooms on the stairs, damp, cold tenements, were just not good enough for the 20th century in Scotland. People like Alan McGuckin, Sheila Campbell, Raymond Young, of course, John Mulloy, just big figures in the Scottish Housing Association movement. And I would say that John is an idealist. He's a very pragmatic idealist, though. And what he's done is he's set himself sustainable goals, targets. He's built a business which is just superb. It's one of Dundee's strongest businesses. If you look around Dundee, you will see evidence of Hillcrest's work everywhere. And it's a high standard, and it's a standard that the council actually aspires to match. And so I think John Mulloy has made a very visible impact, a very physical impact on the city of Dundee. Think about the great biomass boiler debate, where the council, by 27 votes to 2, I'm glad to say I was one of the 2, voted against Hillcrest having a biomass boiler in their new premises. John could have given up and just put in a gas boiler. It would have been a lot easier, cheaper, but he didn't. He was determined. He fought his way through the public inquiry and he got his biomass boiler.
But at the same time, he made it possible for all the other people who wanted to do that in Scotland to follow his lead and benefit from the fight that he fought to show that this was a sensible and a sustainable way of going ahead. So I just think, congratulations, John, you've had a wonderful career and you have left an indelible imprint on the city of Dundee in a good way.